What's up guys, Mullins Momentum here and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to go over SEC filings. I'm going to try to break down the most common SEC filings, make it a little easier to understand and try to explain each individual one. If you do like the video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Sub to the channel so you always know when I'm either going live, posting new content like this. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I have my news feed up here to show you different filings that come out, and also I have a screen grab from MTA that I did a while back to write up this exact scenario of these SEC filings. So we'll start out, I'll go over what I wrote here and then we'll go look at some different filings. So if you see a 13D or a 13G, and you see them over here on the newsfeed as well, that means that a toot or an institution or a big investor has bought 5% or more of the company. But if it's a 13D/A or 13G/A, that means that it's been amended. So they could have bought more. They already were in, but they bought more, or it means that they were already in and they sold some. Form 4, which you see right here, is a insider buy. So someone actually affiliated with the company has either bought or sold some of the shares, and you have to like pull it up to look to see. Like this one specifically, they acquired 5,000 shares at, and it usually shows a price here, but it's not a price. It doesn't show the price on this one, but that's the inside of a Form 4. It shows, 5,000 acquired, and it usually shows the price. For the 13G, let me go back and show you an example of that real quick, or 13D. They're very similar. I think one means that it's a direct buy where they want to say help grow the company, or help advise the company, etc. And the other one's more of like a passive investment type thing. But a 13G, when you pull it up, this is what it looks like. And you scroll down and you look for the percent. So that's the percent of the company that they bought. Usually it's over 5%. This one, for example, that I just clicked on, which this is an acquisition company, but it's 20%, which is usually good. 20% or higher. If you see that on an SEC filing for 13D, usually that's positive, and you'll see the price of the stock go up. 6K. So I will explain right here that there are foreign SEC filings and domestic SEC filings. And what that means is domestic is the US. So you've got your 8K, you've got your S1, you've got your S3. Now for foreign, you've got your 6K, you got your F1, and you got your F3. So that's they're just slightly different, but they're the same exact thing. It just means for a foreign company or domestic company. So a 6K or an 8K is basically just a PR in the SEC format. So let me go down and look for an 8K here. So actually, that's not a good one. Let me go look at the 6K. So the 6K is a piece of news that just has their general meeting proxy statement. Sometimes, or most of the time, I will say, the 6K, the SEC form will come out after the PR. So the PR will hit the news wire, and then later on in the day, or 10, 15 minutes later, it could be that night, maybe even the next day, the 6K will come out, which is just the PR and SEC form. Now, on rare occasions, companies will just post the SEC form. So that's why I have them on my news feed. So if it's a company that's in play, that's been in play recently, and it gets like a 6K, I'll always want to pull it up and look at it, 6K or 8K. I want to pull it up and look at it to make sure that that's nothing new that hasn't reached the PR newswire, and that they're just sneaking, not particularly sneaking it in, but they're only putting it on the SEC filings. So that's something, like if you see something running and you're like, oh, there's no news, sometimes you can go and look and they dropped an SEC filing that's a 6K, and there's actually a PR and SEC form that's on here. So a 10K is earnings. So basically that's just same thing as an 8K. It's the earnings in SEC form. So let me see if I can search for a 10K on here. It'll even pop up. No. I don't have a good example of a 10K, but it's just like pulling up an ER. Here we go, actually. This is just the exact earnings statement that you're going to see in the PR. It's all the earnings, everything that they're going to put in the earnings PR is right here. It's just the earnings in SEC form, just like the 8K and the 6K was like a PR in SEC form. So this is the earnings. That's what a 10K is. So S1 and F1 is when you start getting into your offerings. These are your negative SEC filings. So S1 or F1 means that they are wanting to offer, and they have a specific dollar amount, and they have a specific price per share, and they want to offer right now. So they drop an S1 or an F1, and as soon as you get an effect filing of that S1 or F1, then the offering happens then immediately. So the S1 is like, think of it like a loaded gun or something, it's ready to go. And as soon as the effect, that's basically pulling the trigger on the offering happens. And S3 and an F3 is usually a bigger filing. It's called a shelf offering. So there is a large amount that they say, oh, we can offer up to $100 million worth from time to time. So what that means specifically is they're creating this big overall offering that, okay, we've got this set up. We do want to offer at some point in the future, but we don't want to do it right now. Let's just go ahead and have it set up. Let's do the up to $100 million from time to time at any time. And then when that becomes in effect, that means they can offer at any time they want without having to file an S1. And it doesn't have to be the total amount that they set in it. It's up to that amount. So let me open up this S3 right here. So usually it will say, we may offer and sell from time to time up to an aggregate amount of $200 million. That doesn't mean they're offering $200 million worth right now. That means that they are set this huge set amount to the side that they can offer. And they can keep using this S3 over and over until they get to that $200 million mark. So they set it aside. They don't have to file any more S1s. They set it aside, and then they can offer, like in a regular PR offer, anytime they want. And then the 424B5, that's one that would just basically explain the offering after it's done. So let's say one has an S1, they do an effect, they send out the PR that the offering's being done. Usually a 424B5 is the offering's SEC version of the PR. So they will, it will explain like, oh, we offered on this date, this dollar amount, at this price per share. So that's the more important ones. Form 3, as you see right here, that has to do with insiders as well. And I'm not actually 100% sure the difference between a Form 3 and a Form 4. Usually Form 4 is the insider. This one, it says it's an officer, and it doesn't even say an amount. Let's see if this one shows it. No, same thing. So Form 3 isn't really given any information, but the Form 4 will usually say like the dollar amount. So you see they disposed of 102,596 shares at $6.51. Now they own 1.52 million shares total. And just like everything else, anything with a /A is a amended. So just like 13D/A and 13G/A was amended, like either they sold or bought more. It was the same person that's done a transaction before. Now they've either bought more or sold more shares. Now, if you see a S1/A or an S3/A, usually that means they're getting ready to offer. They're fine tuning their filing to get ready to offer because they want it in an exact specific amount. But those are the most important SEC filings to go over. The big ones are like 13G, 13D. Usually those are good. The 6K, 8K just can be any type of PR. The 10K earnings, the S1, F1, S3, F3 offering, Those are honestly the biggest ones. And like I said, you need an effect form, just like this one, on, so this is probably on an offering. It doesn't say exactly, but you need an effect form on an S1, F1, S3, and F3. So they need to become effective before that offering can happen. So if you just see an S1 on an SEC filing, but no effect after, then that doesn't mean that they have offered yet. As soon as that effect comes in, that's when on the S1 and F1, it's immediately offering. And on the S3 and F3, that the shelf is active, so they can offer up to that amount over multiple different offerings at any time. So I hope this video helped you guys. I try to break these down as quick as possible. These are the most important ones. Hopefully it helped out. And if you do like the video, like I said earlier, please give it a big thumbs up. Sub to the channel so you always know when I'm going live, posting new content. And I'll see you guys all back on stream tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thanks.